Welcome to Talk Mental Health with Logan Noon. This is really a conclusion on the season 1 of this podcast. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. I just want to give an update on what's going on with the podcast and why I'm not going to be releasing any more episodes for the next couple months. So I am a second-year medical student, and in the spring of really any second year, for the most part, medical students are preparing for their level 1 exam, board exam that is. So as an osteopathic medical student, I have to take the COMLEX board exam, which is the osteopathic medical licensing exam. Now, the dilemma of being an osteopathic medical student is we are sometimes also encouraged to take the USMLE, which is the United States Medical Licensing Exam for allopathic institutions. There's really pros and cons to taking both or just one. I still haven't even really completely made up my mind. But for the next few months, I just need to really kind of put on tunnel vision and completely nerd out and just really focus on these exams. I have absolutely loved doing the podcast over the last 10 months or so. The podcast has been downloaded over 7,000 times. Really, not even just by my friends, but from people all over the world. And it's been incredibly gratifying to see and connect with people all over. I want to thank you so much again for tuning in. Now, in my time away from the podcast, I would really ask for your help. If you know of any people that you think could be excellent guests on this show, I would love to have you send them my way, whether that be through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or you can email me at logan@logannoon.com. Just any way to connect with these guests that you think could be interesting people for me to talk to. I'm all ears. However, I don't want to give you a definitive date when I'm necessarily going to come back. I am taking my COMLEX, that's the osteopathic board exam, on June 22nd. Hopefully, I'll be taking the allopathic medical exam right around then too, but I'm really not sure. I want to take some practice exams to make sure I can confidently get a good score. But once again, I'm still not even really sure what I'm actually doing here. Please keep a lookout on my Instagram and other social media profile pages. I am going to be coming out with some new exciting projects for you all. I recently wrote a book with one of my friends. I don't want to tell you too much about that because I want to do a huge promotion on that. But it's really essentially a story of 10 medical students that you may have heard on the podcast. So I really think you guys are going to like that. I'm also in the process of working on a children's book with my mother. That's really been a fun project, trying to explain mental health to little kids. But once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into this podcast. I've really been so surprised by the positive feedback that I've gotten from this. And really, what I've also learned is how much I value long forum conversations. And prior to the podcast, I realized that I didn't necessarily put enough value on long, uninterrupted conversations that I have with people. So I've tried to apply this aspect of these conversations to other areas of my life, whether it's my relationship with my wife, my family, or even friends. Essentially talking to someone via text message or liking their photo on Instagram, it's kind of superficial in a sense. But trying to give that person an undivided attention and really dedicate, a good chunk of time just to talking, I really, really have noticed the value in those forms of conversation. So I encourage you to take that same lesson and apply it to your life. Instead of text messaging, instead of just liking someone's profile picture or Instagram photo, whatever, you get what I'm trying to say. Give them a call. Or even better yet, we have the technology today. FaceTime or Skype them. You might as well see them and at least mimic what it's like as if you guys were in the same room as each other communicating. And try to spend at least, longer than a few minutes talking to someone. Really sit down and try to have an uninterrupted conversation with that person. Well, that's my little spiel. That's really going to be the 5-minute podcast conclusion to season 1. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the podcast, give it a rating, and be on the lookout. I'm hoping in July or August to start putting out episodes again. Please believe me, though, I will certainly be returning to the podcast. I have enjoyed doing this so much over the last year, and I'm really going to miss it while I'm over here nerding out, preparing for my board exams. Thanks again.